Tell us a story.
Yes, tell us a story.
Alrighty, we have finished our day, and as you can see, it is absolutely pouring down. It has been for hours. Starting to flood at the back of the store here. I'm sure that the roof's going to end up leaking again no matter how much they patch it. It's flat roof, and all that water accumulates up there and just finds every crack and crevice it can. So I've tried to move stuff around and cover stuff the best I can. And of course it started leaking at the home a little bit, and the gopher is not liking this weather at all. She spitted and sputtered and spewed and ticket all the way in. It was kind of rough on her. I remember back when it used to rain, I'd be out riding or in the sandrail mostly and stuff, and it would start to rain and it would beat you, just put little welts on you and stuff from the rain. You'd be moving, 50, 60 mile an hour. Sandrail had no roof, no windshield, no side curtains, no nothing. And I just wear a pair of goggles with a face shield so I could at least breathe and just fly and go around. And during the time in Michigan, we get caught out in Michigan, you're supposed to abandon the dunes during any type of storm or environmental conditioning or whatever, because the wind that comes in off Lake Michigan and comes through the sand dunes can cause some issues. And then when it starts to rain, parts of the sand dunes that were solid before, when the water hit it, it kind of turned into some type of a quicksandish thing going on, and it could be really, really bad if you were out there, because once you're out in the dunes, if you're out there, that's where your vehicle will stay until the next day if you don't get out in a certain time, or if they close it when the rain comes in. But I remember being out in there and the rain would come, and we'd been out there all day, and then we tried to get out of it, and the lines would get horrendous because there was really only one way in, very tall, high, arcing sand dunes, kind of bowed around a little bit. And this was back in the 70s, so it's not gonna, I know they've changed it since then, because I've seen videos of the same dunes and stuff and how they've totally changed the entrance and exits of it. But you'd had to stand in line, and heaven forbid that you would be behind somebody with huge aggressive paddle wheels, the cupping paddle tires and stuff that were on a lot of those big horse-powered rigs. Man, even if they would just go slow, it would scoop in, grab the sand, and flip it 10 or 15 feet up in the air. And if they would goose it, which a lot of times they did, just to throw sand on the guy behind them for, I guess, fun. It was fun. I never had one powerful enough to do what they were doing, and I always used play paddles on most of mine, which were not as aggressive, mostly more flotation than aggressive for propulsion. They'd flip that sand up. I remember I was up there with my ex-wife, but before we were married, I was up there, and we just got absolutely covered with sand from the vehicles in front of us, and it was raining, and it was just nasty, and we were soaked and drenched, and we had rented one of the camper trailers. Instead of getting into the hotel or hauling anything up there, I drug one of the sandrails up, and we were rented out for a week or so. We rented out this trailer that was on more or less private land, and we got in there, and we got in the shower, and all this sand, we were pulling sand out of places. Let me tell you something, ladies. Sand got in places you need help getting it out of. I'm just explaining. I wasn't complaining. Just explaining. It got into every crack and crevice, minute. You had grit packed everywhere. I had sand coming in my ears for a week after we came back from that. But we were in that shower, and we tried to rinse every crack and crevice we could, and we got everything out, and the sand filled up the trap of the shower and plugged that up. I ended up having to go and get the landlord to come out, and he says, yeah, this happens around here. So I felt real bad that it would happen, but yeah, we tried to do everything to keep that sand, but it got everywhere. It was it was really rough, and you had it in your teeth, and it was just, I mean, you'd be eating dinner or something and you'd think you bit into something that was in there, but actually it was something that was in your teeth. And I didn't have the big beard, I just had the little mustache beard thingy, the little I don't know, it wasn't a soul patch, it was 4 inches longer than a soul patch. So it was I had that back then, so I didn't have a lot in it. Now heck, if I went out there now, I'd be pulling sand out of my beard for a month. Gophers like the sand. I don't think the GO4 would be able to go up there and stuff without too much paddle tires. The front end and everything would dig in, but I would love to go back up there again sometime soon. I'll have to check the laws and regulations and see if I can go back up and get back out in the dunes one of these days before too long and see what happens. Even if I just go up there to visit, you can drive up and rent vehicles up there to drive around in the sand dunes. It's not as fun as your own, because they're usually not, they're just very adequate to be able to get up there, and they have tours and stuff like that. So, but we're going to get the heat defrost on, we'll get the wipers working, get our lights on. We will see if we can get home in this nastiness. Whoop, 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 whoop. There goes the governor. She really does not like this rain. That's the first time in over a month it's kicked on. Alrighty, we'll see. So we're going to have to hurry up and roll out of here, because I'm not sure how long she's going to stay running. I don't want her to stop in the middle of traffic out there. So let's ride. Alrighty, she's flooded, so the yard's full of water where it's running up into the house. As you can see up there, it'll start to run and gets up there, and it goes underneath the concrete and runs right into the basement of the house. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to pull and park out here where I don't have to back up tomorrow. I can just pull out. Yeah, but the sand dunes were an absolute treat, but picking that sand out of your crack for a week, that was, I guess that was, I don't know, that was your remembrance of the trip. Your souvenirs, as they say. But I hope to be able to get up there again someday and be able to run the dunes again. I'm not sure with what type of vehicle or whatever, but like I said, it'd be nice just to go up and get out there and just watch the vehicles run around, just sit in a lawn chair alongside one of the dunes and just spend the day and kick back with a refreshment and just remember. It's about all I get done anymore, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to get some rest. I'm going to get some chow. Y'all take care of each other. See ya. Alrighty, that was a hard night's rain. Oh my goodness, it was something else. But we were talking about the times in Michigan about the rain and the sand getting in cracks and crevices and stuff. When we would come back after, because I would pull. I got trailers later on, but in the beginning I would actually drag the dune buggies or sand rails up there behind my truck, and we'd get up there and, you know, run and do and whatever, and really had a blast and all the fun. And then I'd come back, and then probably for about a week, no lie, no BS whatsoever, for at least for about a week, I would be vacuuming and sweeping, and I'd have to dismantle parts of the sand rail or the dune buggies and stuff just to get the sand. It got into everything. I had some pretty expensive back then camera equipment, pretty much top of the line, the Pentax Pros. Didn't care for Nikons all that much. I mean, even though the F series and all the Nikons were really the top of the line, the Pentax Pros were right up there with them, and they were a little bit cheaper and came with some features that I really liked. That's back when I did photography for the newspapers and modeling ad agencies and stuff. I ruined so many cameras with the sand getting into the mechanisms and into the lenses, and it got, like I said, not only on us did it get in every crack and crevice, it got in everything. The Michigan sand in areas is super fine. The actual particle seems to be smaller than sand that would be from other places, and I think the understanding was, when I asked a geologist, because I've visited a lot of geeky places, when we went through uranium mines, we went through rare gem mines, all that stuff up in Canada through Michigan and Minnesota. They have all kinds of really cool stuff, but from the understanding from the geologist was that when the glaciers came down and they ground all that up, it kept grinding and grinding there, since it was so close to the origin of the glacier when it was coming down, the Great Glacier Migration. It ground up everything super fine. Now, when you get down here into Ohio Valley, down into Kentucky, Tennessee, where the glaciers had stopped, that's why you have the larger stones, the larger grains of sand. They weren't ground as fine because they weren't at the beginning of the glacier. So it's just, that's why a lot of times that stuff, when it got wet, would turn into almost like a quicksand thing. Because you would get, and I don't know the proper name of it, but it's liquefaction, where water permeates soil and or sand, so saturates it so much that the molecules actually float the grains, make space in between it, and when any pressure gets onto it, it won't hold anything. There's no buoyancy to it. That's why quicksand and all the other stuff, you just sink into it and it grabs into you, and there's no way. And the more you fight, the more you go down. I love the sand dunes up there. The Arizona sand dunes are totally type of different. Those were made and beat down by wind. They weren't ground under tons and tons and miles of glacier. They're all ground down by wind, so they have actually even have a different shape to them than the granules that we have around here. And it's pretty cool to go into, and it can get fine too, but when it gets fine, it's that the granules of sand also have biomatter into them from plants and whatever that gets into it, and it can get a fluffy sand, and you can get stuck really, really easy out there too in that fluff. But I don't know of any quicksand where the liquefaction takes effect out there, because it's arid and there's no water. But anyway, I know I'm geeking out. But we're gonna go and try and get in there and see what's going on, and we'll just see what's happening. Let's ride. I tend to geek out sometimes when I get to things I like, things about history, things about natural sciences, earth sciences, things that I studied, things I went through when I was in college. Believe it or not, the gopher went to college. And if I told you the truth about all that, you'd say, no, I did really well. I'm not sure what happened and how I ended up like this. I kind of am. Bad choices. We can all make bad choices, no matter how much education and experience that we get through. We can make some bad choices that will end up curbing our life into things that we would never expect to happen. But yeah, I love natural sciences and history, earth history. The places in Michigan and Minnesota and in Canada to deal with geology and the different places and things I've seen. I've went through gemstone mines, and we've polished our own gemstones, picked our own gemstones, all kinds of stuff I found really, really interesting. I would get in trouble a lot of times because I'd stop to talk and ask questions to the specialist and or experts there, and they would go, wait a minute, and they'd go off into a room and come back, and I'd be some old crotchety guy that had 3 pairs of glasses on, and I'd start talking to him. Next thing you know, hours and hours would go by, as anyone that would ever talk to me on any of the chats that I visit would know. I tend to just go when it comes into something that I know about or I'm very interested in. And again, I apologize for all that, but it's like unstopping a dam. You just can't hold it back. Anyway, I'm going to go in here, see how many people we can help today, see how many of the emergency computer problems we can help quell and curb, see if we can get people back up and running and calm them down, because it's good to be calm. Not that I achieve it much, but it's good to be calm. I'm going to go in here and start my day. I'm going to do my thing. You all take care of each other. Have fun. Find something you enjoy. Just lose it. Take care of each other. See ya.
Story time is over.